good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the fullCircle GRC Harmonizing Compliance webinar. I'm Kevin Ketts. I'm the CTO over S360 and excited to talk to everybody today and give you a little bit of insights into harmonizing a program with fullCircle.
And I'm Carlin Cole. I'm product manager for fullCircle. Yeah, we're really excited and glad you guys are with us to walk through this. We'll kind of look at how fullCircle can help you harmonize your program, as Kevin mentioned, and answer any questions and dive into a lot of the specifics around problems we're solving and how we tackle it.
So today we're going to talk about a little bit about who we are, just to give you some context. Then we're going to get into the challenges that we see GRC teams facing every day. We'll dig specifically into the multi-framework dilemma that requires harmonization. And then we're going to show you how you can harmonize your program using fullCircle. At the end, we'll bring some receipts and talk about some client success stories, and then get into some Q&A. So Risk360 is an organization that helps other organizations implement, audit, and manage their security and compliance programs. We have consultants, proven playbooks, and of course our fullCircle GRC platform that we'll talk about today. Not only do we focus on compliance and audit management, we also have our offensive security team that does penetration testing and advanced technical services. So Risk360 has done thousands of assessments over hundreds of clients, and we have expertise in many, many frameworks. The way we deliver our services is a tech-enabled approach, and it's all delivered through our GRC platform. We built the platform to help us manage our processes of delivering services, but we've also built it to help organizations manage their compliance programs. Oftentimes we talk about this in terms of built by craftsmen for craftsmen. Oftentimes we talk to a lot of GRC teams and they bring all sorts of different problems to us. Problems range quite a bit, but we've boiled it down into three basic categories that GRC teams are facing today. So the first is the lack of time and resources, right? So practitioners and leaders all have a challenge with resources to manage their compliance activities. They're being asked to be more proactive. They're being asked to do more with less. And at the end of the day, they know what they want to do, but unfortunately, they struggle with the time or resources to get it all done. So they're looking for help, right? They're looking for people to come in and help them do that. The other thing that we see is a lack of focused expertise. And what I mean by that is a lot of organizations are excellent at running their GRC programs. However, it might be challenging for them to manage multiple different frameworks across multiple different business units. It's difficult to figure out the best way to optimize that and to effectively manage it. Further, they may be implementing new frameworks that they don't have any expertise in. So at the end of the day, the bottom line is they want quick answers to their questions, and they want experts to help them solve their biggest problems. And then the last category of things that we see is a lack of specialized tools. Many GRC teams that we talk to are still managing out of spreadsheets and document repositories like SharePoint. Some of the larger teams that we talk to have implemented a GRC program or platform, and it's just not meeting their business needs. And then for our largest clients, often what we see is that there are too many tools available to them. Like different teams are using different GRC programs, different risk management programs. And what they're really looking for is a platform to streamline that, to help them effectively manage their program. But more than that, they're looking for advisement on what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. So Risk360's approach to managing all of this and solving these challenges really focuses on three things, and that's people, playbooks, and our platform. So when we talk about people, we're talking about all of our experts within Risk360. They're all cross-trained, they're experts on multiple different frameworks, and they have experience implementing and auditing different compliance and security programs. In addition to that, they've built out processes, we call them playbooks, and we've refined those playbooks over the past 9 years and over 2,000 plus different engagements. So what we do works, and we know it because we've been doing it for so long. for so many different organizations. And then again, I talked about our platform, fullCircle. And at the end of the day, what that does is it helps organizations effectively manage their GRC programs through harmonization. In addition to that, it becomes a force multiplier for GRCT. GRCT, I keep messing that up. I love it. It's GRC teams. So that force multiplier helps address all those problems that we're talking about. And how we do that is through intelligence baked into the platform, playbooks baked into the platform, and people supporting the platform. So to put the problems into a specific context, let's talk about the multi-framework dilemma. We like to look at things through the eyes of an avatar, and so we'll look at it through Justin. So Justin here is a compliance manager. He has multiple frameworks that he has to oversee, and these frameworks apply to multiple businesses or business units and multiple products. Not only that, each of the frameworks has their own audits, so he's dealing with audit crunch time throughout the year. He unfortunately is stuck in the old days where he's managing his program with ineffective tools, meaning spreadsheets and emails and document repositories. It's just he and a couple other people on his team. They're very manual, and ultimately what he's dealing with is a ton of complaints about how the demands of the compliance program are slowing innovation and delivery. So poor Justin is just burnt out. Justin has come to Risk 360 to ask us how we can help him. And the way we approach this problem is through harmonization. And what we're going to tell Justin is that, hey, we're going to leverage our capabilities, our internal experts, our playbooks, and our platform to help you implement your GRC program through the platform, move from a reactive approach to a continuous GRC management approach, leverage that platform as a force multiplier for you and your team. And what it will look like is in fullCircle, you'll have a harmonized control list, a single evidence request list, a single pane of glass that you can go to see how the program's operating. And you're going to get not only in person, but in platform access to intelligence and playbooks. Risk 360 is very focused on solving these complex business environments that have multiple frameworks, multiple business units, and we implement it through our platform. So Carlin today is going to help us understand what that looks like in the platform. So Carlin, I've talked about harmonization quite a bit so far. When we talk about that, what does it mean and who needs it?
The harmonization is ultimately what we're trying to get to is do an activity once and have that apply to where all it's applicable. And this can be across frameworks, it could be across different business units or different scopes. But really, the ethos that we approach compliance with is that do it once, apply it to many. So we'll look at, we'll come in and take a look at your frameworks and get those organized into a single set of controls, a single set of evidence requests. So you're not managing all those in different places, managing them multiple times. And that really comes in handy, especially when you start thinking about really complex environments that have a lot of different scopes, business units, different products. When you have that scaled over multiple frameworks, the complexity can get unwieldy, especially if you're trying to manage a whole bunch of different frameworks all at the same time.
So let's take a look at that, dig a little bit deeper into the platform here and show how we do that.
So we start from the frameworks perspective. So let's get all the frameworks that you're concerned with in the system. And we've got a list of the standard ones in here, but we can support any set of controls that you can imagine. So if you've got some really one-off frameworks or maybe some custom controls that are specific to your organization that you want to track, we can put those in here. We'll start from, once we get the frameworks, we'll look at the evidence side. We want to start evidence first. I mean, what evidence specifically are you guys collecting already for your audits? What are those pieces of artifacts or things that we need to gather to make sure that audit goes smoothly? And let's only have to collect that once. We hear often the pain of reaching out to teams multiple times throughout the year with the different audits and different audit periods, trying to ask for the same evidence and trying to explain why you need the same piece of evidence again when we just gave it to you last month. All that can be put into a single evidence request list because that single piece of evidence can apply to multiple frameworks. So we do that by putting in the frameworks, getting that evidence request list, have that mapped out to the frameworks. And then we'll approach that from the control side. Now let's roll all those framework controls into your harmonized control list. And so as we're looking at here, you've got a single control that applies to multiple frameworks. So again, I'm going to actively manage this control once. I know who the owner is. I've got statuses on it. And I can see, okay, this applies to these controls within ISO 27001. These PCI controls could include SOC 2 controls, and have that all harmonized. Now, when we start thinking about scopes and different business units and how we organize all that, again, we see the complexity really go exponential when we start including that. What fullCircle allows us to do is add what we refer to as subcontrols, and those subcontrols can be scoped out to those different business units or those different products. These are full controls in and of themselves, so they can have their own owners, their own statuses, but we can see what scope they apply to, keep all that organized under a parent level control, and then be able to report out on those details as we need. So I need to know what the status is on product X or Y or Z. I have that detail in here where I can pull the dashboards and reports on it. When we create the harmonized control set, we really create a situation where we can have a control that's really the system of record for us and gives us everything that we need to know about that control or that piece of evidence. Who owns it? How often do we need to review it? How do we satisfy that? What are the testing procedures and all of that? So taking all those frameworks across all those scopes, harmonizing that down into an efficiently managed control and evidence list is the point of the harmonization.
So we talk about making the control the center of the universe. Can you talk a little bit about how that comes to be in the platform?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different modules within fullCircle. So we have risk management, project management, calendars, amongst others. The controls module and the control record is the center spoke of that wheel. So that's where everything connects. So what we have facilitated here with the control record is when I look at this record, I come in here, I need to know everything that's going on about this control. So from who owns it, what the status is, how often it's reviewed, to things like what are the policies and procedures associated with this control? What are my testing procedures when I'm reviewing it? When we start to look at other modules in the platform, like our project management module, we can tie task in here. Now, these could be implementation task for controls that we're just now starting to implement. Maybe your organization's pulling in some AI frameworks, and you've got some controls that you need to implement that aren't there yet. This is a great way to manage that. Or it could be control improvement. Maybe we went through an audit and there was maybe an opportunity for improvement, not necessarily a gap, and we want to include that. Or maybe there's some findings and we want to add remediation task in here. Having that tied in, similarly, we can tie in events from our compliance calendar so we can see recurring meetings that are going on. We have risk from our risk management. So when I come into this control and I'm evaluating this control, what risk have we already identified about that? I can dive into that, add additional risk, and manage all of that from here, as well as findings. So we have if we do reviews or assessments or audits and we have findings out of that, I want to need to know what controls that associates with, and when I look at that control, what are the findings associated with it? Everything in the platform all ties together, and the control is really the center of the universe that ties it all together. So it becomes that system of record that's super important for maintaining and giving you clarity into your program.
So Carlin, we've had a lot of customers come to us, big and small, and talk to us about harmonization. We've asked them questions, have you tried this before? And were you successful? About 50% have said, no, we haven't ever tried it before. The other 50%, have tried it and they were unsuccessful. So talk a little bit about how we as Risk 360 help them achieve success in this harmonization effort. It's difficult.
It is a very difficult process. And yeah, as you mentioned, Kevin, a lot of organizations have either struggled to do it or haven't even attempted it at all. So that's that's a big reason why organizations engage with us to help with this process, because our team has the expertise. We've done this before. We've done it for multiple clients across a lot of different types of industries. And we'll come in and work with you. We'll come in, again, gather your evidence request list, understand what frameworks you're tied to, and we can help you come up with that harmonized control set. We've got a lot of prior art that we can work off of, but we can also work and be very bespoke for your specific needs in your specific organization. There's a lot of nuanced details that are different between organizations, and it's important to be able to capture that. So being able to work with a team who's done this before, who has the tools, the expertise with the tools, they have the experience in doing this is super helpful in trying to create that harmonized control set that's going to give you the efficiencies that you're looking for. If it's something that you've never been through before, as you get into it, you'll see how difficult and how nuanced it can often be. So having a trusted partner to come along, kind of like a Yoda coming along with you to help you through that process, can really fast track that and get you through those hurdles and those roadblocks that you'll inevitably face when you're trying to go at this alone.
We've seen a lot of platforms that can do harmonization, and there's a lot of open source capabilities out there for framework crosswalks. What we found though is that every organization is unique and individual. They want to approach it their own way. So our playbooks for implementation processes are key to help us, get the platform implemented quickly, get the program harmonized quickly, and allow the GRC teams to realize advantages from the platform much faster than they might with some other approaches. What does harmonization get us? Oftentimes, what we run into is organizations who have an aspirational goal. They want to get out of that audit crunch time approach, that reactive approach, and get to a point where they can be more proactive and move to that continuous management type approach. So, how does full circle and the harmonization process help us get there?
The harmonization, as you mentioned, Kevin, enables the continuous management of the program. And that really starts in a lot of ways from the evidence side of the world. So when you have a harmonized evidence list of that evidence that you're collecting, the tool gives you a lot of capabilities around being able to manage that on a continuous basis, which leads into the management of the whole program. So this becomes your centralized repository for your evidence. And a lot of organizations we talk to, they're a lot of times their request lists, they're just coming from the auditor. They may have some stuff shared in a SharePoint site somewhere or Google Drive. They've got a list of evidence. They don't really have good redundancy when somebody leaves or knows who owns it. The full circle gives you that place to store the evidence, and it gives you the tools to, excuse me, manage that on a continuous basis. And the way that's done is around the dates and the statuses and the periodicity that we can set up on these controls. So I can spread this work out over time, which is really what we're trying to do here, and the big benefit of having a continuous management versus the audit crunch time. So the audit crunch time being, that 2-week sprint during the audit period where we're trying to collect all this evidence. It's really high stress situation. Folks are getting frustrated because of all the evidence that they're being asked for. With the tool, we can set up processes to give you playbooks to spread this work out over time, so the collection of evidence becomes part of the normal rhythms of the team. So I can look at a piece of evidence, I can understand, do we have evidence that's current? Is there evidence that's expired? Whoever's assigned to this evidence, they're going to get notifications when evidence is expired. They're going to get digests of when evidence is coming up due. I have easy ways to tell what evidence is there, what evidence is missing, what evidence needs to be updated from the list view and reports, and easy ways to remind all my evidence owners that it's out there. This gives you the ability to then, again, spread that work out over time, so that when the evidence comes due, they can provide it, and we get to a place where we're actually always audit ready. Rather than being audit ready for a very short period of time, we could do an audit at any point because our evidence is fresh, it's ready to go, and it's good. Along from in addition to the evidence side, the control side has this concept of periodic review as well. So we get the evidence, we want to review our control operation based on that evidence. Well, we can take this concept of periodicity, set that up, say we want to review maybe a quarter of our controls every quarter of the year. We could set that schedule up so that these controls are coming up for review. That operational status will change to needs review when it's time. That's going to shoot off a notification to the owner to come in here, take a look at the notes, take a look at the evidence, make sure everything's good to go. Assuming it is, they can go ahead and put in update that back to no gap. And then that facilitates the continuous management of the program. Again, trying to get to a point where we're always ready, audit ready, rather than trying to get audit ready within a really short period of time that's really stressful right before the audit happens.
I did see a comment that I would like to address because we're spending a lot of time on evidence right now. And the comment is, we've tried mapping controls, and that's really intuitive, but it's not one-to-one. So we end up mapping evidence so the control tests remain simple. What's really interesting about that is we started with mapping controls as well, taking framework controls, mapping them to organizational controls. And over time, what we've learned is that that comment is exactly right. And so our approach to harmonization is an evidence first approach. We collect all of your evidence request lists. We deduplicate those evidence request lists. We maintain the mappings to the framework controls, and then we roll those up into organizational controls. That way, we are focused on the evidence first. You can slice and dice the information. You can see it the way you need to. So that was a really astute observation, and something that we've actually learned ourselves and baked into the platform. The other thing is, Carlin, you mentioned we like to get into the normal operation or normal operating rhythms of the teams that are providing evidence. So we kind of refer to that sometimes as we meet the people where they are, right? So can you talk a little bit about the mechanisms we use to collect evidence and how we actually meet people where they are?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's several different ways that we can get evidence into the system. One is simply if you've got a user who's going to be working in doing a lot of evidence, and they're maybe a part of the GRC team, and we can want to get them a login to fullCircle. They can come in here, manage it from their list of evidence, and upload the evidence here. What gets really interesting, though, is when we start to engage with evidence providers that we don't really need them in fullCircle. They maybe have a handful of evidence, not a ton, or maybe just one, and it doesn't make sense to try to get them into a separate tool, teach them that tool. We know there's a lot of that creates friction. It's just going to create more work for the GRC team to try to get that evidence. So our approach has been to create functionality that's going to gather evidence without needing to get those users into the system. One way is through integrations with third-party ticketing systems. We're thinking Jira, ServiceNow, Azure DevOps, things like that. We can integrate these evidence objects into those systems and have that pull in evidence from those systems. So what will happen there is fullCircle will create an issue in Jira, for example. The engineering team, let's say that's who's working in there, they pick that up as part of their normal workflows. They provide the evidence in Jira. The integration will pull that file that's provided into fullCircle. So we just collected that piece of evidence without needing to get that engineer out of the tools that they're already working in. Another way we can do that is through this concept of an upload user, which is we'll send the user an email. And this doesn't have to be a fullCircle user. This can be someone who, again, we're not needing in the platform, but we need to get evidence from them. We can add a user here to put their email address in, first name, last name. They'll get a link to an upload portal, send them almost through like a DocuSign type flow where they can upload that file. We, again, get it in fullCircle, and they didn't need to log in. So we see this particularly useful for maybe HR needing to provide an employee list. That's all they need to provide. They can do that through the upload portal. And we just met them where they are without trying to get them into another tool, which just creates more friction.
So a lot of people come to us and they ask us about automations, right? When we think about getting evidence from folks, we built a lot of capability to reduce the friction there. A lot of people think that automations are going to be the answer and that will ultimately reduce the friction. That hasn't been our experience. And can you talk a little bit about what we've experienced and talk about our approach to automations?
They have their place in the right context, and for the right pieces of evidence. But often what we've found and what we've heard from other organizations, it's that the canned automations that you see a lot out on the market, a lot of times they don't work, and that they're not specific enough. They're not gathering the right piece of evidence, or maybe your configuration at your organization is not quite exactly what that canned automation is looking for. So our approach to automations is through what we refer to as our extension engine. So that's more of a customizable approach to gathering evidence from these third-party systems or gathering files from them. What we enable is, and we can work with you to build out these extensions that get you exactly what you need in a particular case. So we can come in, build those out with you, and that's going to provide back, based on your exact configuration, exactly what you need. We've heard stories of organizations that have used a lot of the canned automations, and they get audit time, and they realize they provide this stuff to the auditor and realize it's not exactly what's needed in that case. So they're having to go through, collect that evidence. They just kind of wasted a lot of time setting up all those canned automations. So let's start off from the beginning, getting exactly what's needed in the right way, in the right format through these extensions, and make that a lot more useful for you.
What was kind of serendipitous about that was somebody had just asked a question about our API integrations as we started to talk about that. So yeah, we definitely have API integrations. That extension engine framework is really robust. You can build your own extensions. You can have us build up those extensions. And the bottom line there is if there's an API that's successful and you have access to it, you can build an extension to collect information from that system. So we've talked about how we harmonize controls, how we reduce the amount of evidence that we're collecting to just what we need, and we do it once, apply it many times. How does this actually help us when we get to audit time? We have all this information in the system. How does this facilitate audit time?
So the having a central repository for all your evidence is not going to be helpful if you can't get it out, right? So we have the ability to generate an audit package out of the system. What this will do is extract all the evidence out, and we can put filters in to only pull out specific things. But the beauty of it is that we can structure the file that's generated out of this as this audit package in several different ways. So, and by structure, what we mean there is the file structure of the folder that's extracted out of the system with this audit package. So we can have that structured like your controls environment, that harmonized controls environment. Let's say you're doing an audit of multiple frameworks with your external auditor, and you've worked with them to do a harmonized audit in essence. And we've come to an agreement on what those controls are. And we need that evidence to come out mapped to those specific controls. We can do that here. We can also do it based on frameworks. So if we were getting out evidence for PCI as an example, and I want to see that evidence organized the way PCI is organized, I can do that. Or if I just want to dump it all into a single folder, I can do that as well. And you set your audit date range, so we don't want to pull all files all the time, so we can narrow that down, set up our filters. So if we only want to pull evidence for specific scopes, products, business units, or different domains, we can filter on tags as well. We can do that and then generate this. Again, that's going to create a zip file that's going to have a folder structure that matches what you need, so you can hand that off to external auditors and they'll have all the files that you need that you just got out of the system.
So what if I want to do internal audit? How do we enable that?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have the ability to generate assessments as well in the platform. Our assessments module is extremely robust. It's what our team uses on a daily basis to do assessments of organizations that we work with. We have the ability to snapshot off this information out of controls into an assessment. And the process here will look very similar. You'll go through a process of setting up the assessment itself. You can choose the structure. So are we assessing based on our harmonized controls? Are we assessing based on a framework? Then your audit date range, filters, and etc. So that'll give you an assessment within the assessments module that's going to have all those evidence files brought over as evidence requests, and then you'll see your controls ready for control testing. And that's a very robust module. Won't have time to get into it in full depth here, but that gives you that point in time assessment capability that can then generate findings that go into risk management, project management, which again tie back into the center of the universe here in controls.
So, Carlin, I know internally we've been doing a lot of thinking about what the future of the platform holds, especially when it comes to continuous management. So, can you talk a little bit about some of the stuff that we're working on right now for future capabilities?
Very excited about the future in terms of continuous management capabilities within the controls module. Our team has a lot of information in their heads and in different resources around. So we are working to put a lot of the expertise from our teams into the platform and have that available for our users to take advantage of. So you can kind of imagine I'm working in a framework. Maybe this is a new AI framework, for example, and I need some guidance on how to implement that framework. We're putting that intelligence into the platform. You can pull up an assistant panel that's going to give you the tools that you need, the expertise that you need to actually implement that control and the things that you need about that control. When you layer on that intelligence with a lot of the AI capabilities that are coming out, which will be stacking on top of that, that can have context of your organization, who you are, the unique challenges that you face, becomes really powerful. And then you start to get into agentic AI, so AI that can actually perform work for you from a continuous management perspective. We're envisioning AI giving a first pass at a lot of this. So an AI can come in, do a first pass on evidence analysis, a first pass on the control testing, give you a report back on things that it's finding. You come in with your human expertise, confirm or deny the findings, and then actually create work out of that, remediation work, improvement of those controls, improvement of evidence collection. A lot of capabilities there that we're really excited about and in the near future that we're working on.
That's great. And can you kind of give a sneak peek as to timeline for some of that?
Yeah, we're working on that now. So Q3, Q4, early Q1 is you'll start to see things roll out gradually. We'll have the platform intelligence stuff done sooner with AI context aware coming in probably end of this year into early next year is the current time frame.
So we've talked about how we can harmonize a program through the platform, how that can help us move to continuous management, how some of this capability enables that do once, apply it many times sort of ethos, and how we'll leverage the platform as a force multiplier in the future. Next up is, okay, how do I leverage this as a single pane of glass, right? How can I see what's going on in my program?
So we've already talked about the control as the center of the universe, but these records that we're looking at here that are tied into control, they are visible and available in their own modules in the system. So we're looking at risk management as an example here. Any risk that I have tied to controls, I can see that in our risk management module as well. I've got my different registers. I've got my risk in there. I can see how those risks tie into other controls across findings, project tasks. Similarly, the project management module, as I create tasks and associate those, all that's going to be consolidated and centralized in a project management module. So I can come in, get a holistic view of all the activity that's going on. Again, seeing the task, how they relate to other areas across the platform. And all of this tying back into our controls. Events is a similar story. Findings we can create in here and view from our assessments as well. So the holistic, there's so many modules within the platform that give you capabilities to manage the program. We've tied all those together. So regardless of what view you're pivoting from to look at, I could be looking at it from a control view, could be looking at it from a framework view. I can see what I need to see depending on the pivot that I want to look at it from.
So you started to flash up some dashboards. Can you talk a little bit more about the controls dashboard and some of the capabilities there that help people focus in on what they need to pay attention to?
Each of these modules have their own dashboard that we can look at. And really, this is what's giving you a view into the status of the program. So with all this complexity, a big challenge that we hear with a lot of clients is that I just don't know what's going on. There's so much out there that I don't have good insight, and I'm worried about it. Right? If there's unknowns out there, if you feel like you don't have a good insight into the program, you feel like there's some unknowns, there's some fear going on there. So the reporting and the dashboarding is super important because that gives you insight into, all right, where are the problems? Where do we have gaps that have been identified? Where are there controls that need to be reviewed? Where are we on evidence gathering, and who's responsible for that? How do I report this out to my board in terms of how have we been doing over the past month, 3 months, 6 months? Where are we at in terms of implementation? How have how's our system look or program look broken out by domain? The beauty with all these dashboards is that all this information is drillable as well. So we can see, okay, Adrian's got some evidence that's pending review. I can click on that. It's going to drill down to that list view. I can see exactly the records that are making that up and go in and follow up with it, whoever the user is that might be needing to do things on it. In addition, we can come in and we can filter these dashboards if we want to look at specific frameworks, maybe different owners or scopes. We can filter all those. So again, those dashboards are available, this type of dashboard from the risk management homepage. We can see different elements of that, as well as project management, which will give you a very similar dashboard to risk management.
So when I'm in controls and I log in, I may not want to see everything that's going on. How can I focus in on my view?
So we have this concept of saved views within both the controls and evidence list views. You'll see these across the top here, these tabs. What this allows you to do is set up a saved view of a specific subset of those records. So in this case, I wanted to only see my controls that were applicable to my financial services business unit. So I set up the filter to scope down to the final financial services tech business unit and my FinSite and Payline scoped products. So when I set up that filter, I can save it as a view and then have that available. It's very quick and easy. Similarly, I can do that with evidence. I've got a saved view here for evidence that's pending review. So I can use this kind of like a to-do bucket of things that I need to work on. I want to clear out my queue here. The beauty of these saved views is not only are they available there, I can come in here and filter on these really quickly on the dashboard as well.
Lots of ability to filter, slice and dice data, right? This is the system of record for all my GRC data. And that ability to slice and dice, it makes it really simple to get to what I need to focus other people in on the actions that they need to take. But one of my biggest challenges is always going to be reporting out to my stakeholders, right? So I know we've spent a lot of time building capabilities to report to stakeholders. Can you kind of highlight some of that and show how that works?
In addition to the dashboards, we do have reports as well that are available. So each of the modules are going to have their own set of reports. We can see all of them within the reporting module. These reports are going to be the different report types depending on what you're looking for. So in this particular case, I've got a control operational status. And I've got that grouped by my different frameworks. The beauty of these reports is that I can pivot that data to look at it grouped by other areas as well. So if I wanted to look at it grouped by scope, I could, or grouped by user or domain. I can adjust those how I need them to get me exactly what I need, and I can come in and set up whatever filters as well. So narrow down the exact information that I need within the report and get exactly the data that I'm looking for. Now, the really cool thing about these reports is that I can schedule them to be sent out on a regular basis. So let's say maybe I'm looking at an evidence status report by user. Let me pull that report up. And I want to have this report sent out to a group of business unit managers on every 2 weeks or something. I can set up a distribution group for that list of managers. You set up this email or this report to be emailed out every week on Monday morning if I wanted to. So they're going to get that in their inbox. They're going to see maybe we could scope that, filter that report down to their specific business unit, and have a separate one for each business unit. And this gives you the ability to report out, have that in their inbox, ready to go. They get used to receiving that. They can follow up with their team on action items as needed. But these types of reports are available in all the modules, and we can look at them in total here. All of our different reports, our distribution groups that we can set up, and have any of these reports sent out on a regular basis.
So what if I don't want them to have to come in or view a report? Can you talk a little bit about the homepage dashboard and the capabilities that we have there?
Thanks for reminding me of that. So the homepage dashboard is really powerful in getting you a custom view to exactly what you need. So the homepage dashboard, what we've done with that is we've given you the ability to pull in any of those widgets that we saw on the module dashboards into an overarching control homepage dashboard. So I can come in here, adjust the widths, pull in different cards into my dashboard, and really create exactly what I need. The beauty of this is that once I've got it set up, then I can export this out as a report, have that available, and it's going to give me a really custom view of the overall status of different aspects of the program that I'm concerned with. So I care about operational status and evidence status. I want to know overdue and behind task. I want to know maybe something about my top risk or open risk items. I can set up whatever that view is that you need. You can set up on your homepage dashboard, send that out as its own report as you need to. It's a really great way to get or a more holistic view from a single screen to get you exactly what you need.
We've spent most of our time talking about the controls module and how it helps with the harmonization effort, how it helps move from reactive to more of a continuous management perspective. But to run a GRC program, you need a lot of tools, right? Different things. Can you just give a very brief rundown of the different modules that we have in the application to help organizations manage the holistic program?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our assessments module that we talked about. So this is we could take a snapshot off of controls, or we can create a custom assessment in here. This is going to be tracking evidence requests within the system, control testing. It gives you the ability to create formal findings and then add those into at project management or risk register for remediation. So the risk management module, we've taken a look at it briefly, but this is several different risk registers, and this is where we're tracking our risk, assigning out ownership, risk scoring. All of that lives within the risk register. We can then create remediation work for these risks that show up as task in the project management module. So this project management module is really flexible, can be used in a lot of different ways, from remediation to general program management to even to exception management. But it gives you really good task management functions, assigning tasks, tracking statuses, due dates, things like that. We also have a vendor management module where we can come in, get our, another repository of our vendors, the ability to score them, assign ownership, do regular security reviews, send out questionnaires as we need to. All of that gives you the capabilities you need to manage your your vendors from a security perspective. We also have a lightweight policies module where we can come in, upload policies, do versions control. We can even send out for acknowledgments where users will get an email with the ability to acknowledge those. We have compliance calendar, which is kind of more of a calendar view of all the things going on in your program. Inventories, which is kind of a more of an online spreadsheet. Self-assessments, which is a questionnaire where you can go in, send out maybe internal questionnaires that you need filled out. There's a lot of capability there of doing different questions as you need to. And then the automations, which is part of that extensions engine that we talked about, along with some what we refer to as cloud compliance management or cloud posture management, where we can connect up with a cloud provider, pull back some scans, scan that to do findings on configurations. So a lot of capabilities in here to help you manage a lot of the program.
Yeah, that's a lot and more than we can cover in one webinar. So, just as a quick note, if anybody wants to see more detail about any of these other modules, we have resources online, and you can also reach out to us and we can happily demo it for you. So, we've talked about how Risk 360 brings people, process, and a platform, or playbooks and a platform to bear to solve this harmonization problem, right? Where organizations have multiple frameworks, multiple business units, and a high level of complexity. This can work for small organizations who deal with the same issues that large organizations have, and it can scale all the way up to the enterprise. But kind of bottom line it for me and talk to me about how, people, playbooks, and platform translate to value and solve problems for organizations looking to solve these harmonization issues.
Yeah. So the people, the playbooks, and the platform are what's going to help get you there. Uh, with the lack of resources, the lack of expertise, the lack of tooling, we provide all of that. So the people who have been through this before, they've got the expertise. It's going to get you to value faster. Your time to value is going to be much faster when you've got help from someone who's done this before and can guide you through it, who's expert in the tool and can help set this up for you. Our goal at the end of an implementation is to give you the keys and have everything set up, ready to go. Here's the keys, here's the playbook, here's how to run it, and you're just off and running in that case. And so the people are a huge part of that. And there's been years and years of experience gathered and helping inform all of that. And then that experience then has informed our playbooks from implementations to playbooks that we can hand off to you to help you get to that point of continuous management of the program. The change management piece of that can be difficult, and the larger the organization is, I think most people know, the harder that can be. So it really helps to have someone who's, again, has been through that before with other organizations, can anticipate some of the challenges that you'll have there, can help you navigate some of that change management within the organization to help make this really successful. If you come in here and you try to implement a GRC tool on your own with very little help, the chance of success is a lot less. I'm not saying it's zero, but it's a lot less but if you have somebody who's done it before, they're expert in the system, they can help you with that. And then as we start to think about agentic AI enabling this and helping out, that the playbooks around that and AI actually empowering those playbooks becomes really interesting and really powerful. And of course, the platform, as we've been looking at, is a huge part of it. It's unifying everything. It's actually giving you the tool to make the change happen. If you continue to try to do this in spreadsheets or inferior tools, it's going to be difficult. The tool makes a huge difference in giving you the base functionality that you need to actually get to a successful implementation and a successful transformation of your GRC program, really.
Okay, perfect. And I want to talk a little bit about some of our success stories, no more than a minute, and then we'll start answering the questions.
Yeah, so we've helped a lot of organizations with this process. You go from smaller, less complex organizations all the way up to very large, very complex. So we've helped companies like Yugabyte. They had 3 ISO frameworks that harmonized. We helped them harmonize those that really streamline a lot of their audit work that they were doing. Full story, 3 times faster audit prep because we're harmonizing those frameworks into a single harmonized list, a single evidence request list with the tool to manage it and the expertise to do it. Cloud Software Group is a very interesting use case, massive organization, tons of compliance costs, a lot of audits, a lot of frameworks, tons of controls, a lot of people involved. We were able to reduce the number of audits by 30% by consolidating those, working with the external auditor and say, hey, you guys are not efficient by trying to manage these all separately either. We can give you some efficiencies by harmonizing the audit. We're going to harmonize their program and save everybody a lot of time and a lot of headache in this case. So some 3 examples of some big wins. There's many others that we could talk about, but just to demonstrate the vastness of how this can apply across different industries and organizations.
And if anybody wants any more information about these 3, there are presentations out there available. You can go to YouTube and search for Risk 360, and you'll be able to find videos related to that. First question, Julius asked about have we ever implemented a fully custom set of ISO controls? So if we can look at frameworks, we can go ahead and indicate, we have the ability to implement custom frameworks. So if you can articulate a control in a spreadsheet, you can import it into the platform. We have people managing custom ITGCs that are specific to their organization. We have some customers that are managing things like Green Book financial controls in the system. So we are not limited in any way. So while we haven't done custom ISO controls, if you can articulate those controls in a spreadsheet, they can be imported into this system and managed through the system. Another point that was brought up was about AI. And the AI question was associated with auditors needing to audit the output of AI and what we've seen there. And the truth is that AI is a great tool for sort of automating, you know, what I heard the father of AI refer to as mundane knowledge work, right? So let the AI do its work, but then as the expert, either the GRC team or the evidence owner, control owner, whatever, go in, review that work and make sure that it's accurate, right? No matter how much context you give to AI, there's still going to be things that it gets wrong, it hallucinates, or it doesn't fully understand and can interpret. So, absolutely, you're going to have to audit the work of the AI, but you're going to have an opportunity then to focus in on the real problems. And our approach to agentic AI type capabilities is going to be associated with having those agents go out, do the work, and then present the work back with the confidence level, right? So important to know that, hey, some things are going to be highly confident, some are going to be lower confidence level, and you're going to need to spend more time with those. The last question that I saw was related to, do we host in EU? And the answer right now is we don't currently host in EU, but we are in AWS and we have built the infrastructure such that we can host the platform in different AWS environments. So EU would not be a problem depending on, the type of engagement and the customers that we're looking at.
How do I determine what the best GRC platform is for me?
Oh, that's a good question. Carlin, you want to take that one? I know you've been thinking about this quite a bit recently.
When you think about the GRC market landscape, in terms of GRC tools, there's hundreds of them out there, and a lot of these tools will be very focused on features and trying to sell you features. The best thing to do is understand what are the actual problems that we need to solve it as an organization, and let that drive your evaluation of platforms. I would say fullCircle is positioned well for that because the problems that we solve are problems that we hear a lot through our teams that work with clients on a regular basis to help implement and audit these programs. So again, Kevin mentioned earlier in the built by craftsmen for craftsmen, the craftsman behind the platform have seen the problems, the actual problems that a lot of organizations face, and that's driven a lot of how we've actually built the platform. So that, along with really good implementation, is key. I mentioned it earlier, but can't overstate the importance of having a really good implementation, a team behind that implementation to make sure that you're set up for success and not getting 6, 12 months down the road and have a poorly or not implemented platform that's not providing you any value, not actually solving those problems that you need have.
Do you have any partnerships with auditors or auditor platforms to log it so they can pull evidence on their own? Or is this just an internal evidence collection and centralization tool?
We have the capability to export data for auditors through what Carlin showed earlier. We are currently, we have a story in our backlog for developing an auditor view, which is a limited view into the system so the auditors can come in and fish for themselves. So we don't currently have it, but we are working on it. The other one that I saw that I was just typing an answer to, and I know we're at time now, is do you have end-to-end vendor management or vendor lifecycle management? As Carlin showed, we do have a vendor management module. It's focused on vendor risk management and doing managing those processes of doing vendor reviews. It's fairly robust, and we'd be happy to show more about it. I do believe that there's more information on the website and out on YouTube about our vendor management module if you want to take a look at that. Yeah, I just want to say it was great presenting today. fullCircle is a labor of love for us. We use it every day. We leverage it, and our goal with it is to take complex programs and facilitate that harmonization process so we can make organizations more efficient. We're excited about the future where we're presenting platform intelligence that's generated by our consultants and AI and agentic AI capabilities here in the near future. If you want to learn more, please feel free to reach out to us. We're more than willing to answer questions. So just know that we're here for you if you need any additional information.